cold Chicago night, cloaked in fog, welcomed the midnight train bound for Seattle. The platform was empty except for 7 weary travelers and one silent conductor, whose eyes seemed lost in another time. As the doors slid shut, an eerie stillness fell. Phones lost signal, clocks stopped ticking, and the world outside blurred into a gray haze. The rhythmic clatter of wheels echoed like a heartbeat in a tomb. Conversations started awkwardly, strangers exchanging uneasy glances. But when the train passed the first tunnel, something changed. The lights flickered, and for a split second, no one could remember boarding. The air grew colder, breaths misting like ghosts whispering in the dark. Someone joked about the ghost train rumor, but laughter quickly died when they realized none of them remembered seeing a ticket booth, conductor's booth, or even a departure announcement that night. The passengers woke to find one seat empty. The man who had been there, a businessman in a gray suit, was gone. Only his blood-stained ticket fluttered on the floor. Panic spread like wildfire through the carriage. They searched every compartment, but he had simply vanished. The conductor appeared calm, too calm, saying there were only 7 passengers on board. But the others insisted there had been 8. One woman checked her phone, finding a photo she'd taken of all of them. The missing man was clearly there. Fear turned to suspicion. Whispers rose about ghosts, abductions, or worse. As they argued, the lights flickered again, and a faint reflection appeared in the window. The missing man's face staring back at them, his lips moving silently, as if warning them to get off before it was too late. The train never stopped. The train screeched to a halt in what looked like an abandoned Nebraska station. Rusted signs hung crookedly, and the wind howled through broken glass. A faded billboard read, "Welcome to Ashbury, home of the Eternal Line." No one remembered such a town. The conductor's voice crackled over the speakers, distorted and hollow. All passengers remained seated. But one man couldn't stand the tension. He stepped out into the fog, calling for help. Minutes passed. His voice faded. Then silence. Just before the train doors closed, they saw him standing far down the platform, unmoving, watching them with lifeless eyes. The doors sealed, and the train began moving again. But when they passed the next station, the same man was there again, still watching. Some began to cry quietly, realizing the truth. They weren't traveling through states anymore. They were moving deeper into something else entirely. Inside the dim carriage, tension thickened like smoke. The passengers began to hear faint whispers, names, confessions, regrets, secrets only they should know. The young woman who sat near the window screamed when she saw her dead husband's face reflected beside her own, smiling with cold, glassy eyes. Another man's reflection mouthed the words, "You can't run from it." As the train rattled forward, the windows no longer showed landscapes but fragments of their past lives, moments of betrayal, lies, and crimes long buried. Every jolt of the train revealed another sin. One man clutched his chest, whispering that he could hear his own heartbeat stopping again and again. They realized this was no ordinary journey. It was judgment on wheels, dragging them through the ruins of their own guilt, forcing them to face what they had spent a lifetime running from. They cornered the conductor near the engine, demanding answers. His wrinkled face trembled, eyes hollow as he whispered, "You were never meant to board." When pressed, he confessed. He had been the conductor of this same train that derailed in 1955. Every passenger on that train had died in the crash, himself included. Yet every few decades, the route reappeared, trapping lost souls between life and death. "You're all passengers who never reached your destination," he said. Shock and denial turned to horror as they remembered fragments of their own deaths. A crash, screams, and fire. The conductor explained that one passenger might still escape if they could face their guilt and seek redemption before dawn. Outside, the whistle howled like a dying scream. The passengers realized they weren't just traveling across the country. They were traveling across eternity itself. Desperate to escape, they tried everything, pulling emergency brakes, breaking windows, even forcing open the doors. But each time, The world outside looped back to the same dark stretch of track. One man jumped into the night, only to awaken back in his seat moments later, sweating and trembling. Memories began to fade. They couldn't recall their names or why they were there. The train's interior changed with every loop, walls rusting, seats tearing, lights dimming. Ghostly passengers appeared between loops, silent and sorrowful, whispering warnings. "The end is near," one spirit mouthed, her eyes hollow. They realized they were reliving the final moments of the crash again and again, each cycle bringing them closer to something final, something waiting beyond the last tunnel. Only one choice remained: confess or burn with the train forever. Smoke began to fill the carriage as the train screeched into a station that read into the line, "Nowhere, USA." Flames licked through the windows, and the heat became unbearable. One passenger, trembling, admitted he had sabotaged the original train decades ago for insurance money. The crash that killed them all was his doing. Chaos erupted. The others shouted, cursed, and wept, torn between vengeance and mercy. The conductor warned, "Only forgiveness ends the journey." One by one, the passengers made their choice, some forgiving, others consumed by rage. The fire spread faster, burning away faces and names. As the last scream echoed, the train began to dissolve into light. In that moment, the betrayer cried out for forgiveness, and the train vanished into silence, leaving only the faint sound of a whistle in the distance. The next morning, a lone survivor woke in a hospital bed, bandaged and trembling. Doctors told him he had been in a train crash, the same one from 1955. They said he was found unconscious near old tracks that hadn't been used for decades. He tried to explain the journey, the passengers, the endless loop, but no one believed him. Reporters called it a miracle, but when he looked out the hospital window, his blood ran cold. A train rolled slowly past on the derelict line, the same faces pressed against the glass, staring at him with empty eyes. He heard the faint echo of the conductor's voice whisper, "The ride never ends." The man fell to his knees, realizing he had never truly escaped. The train vanished into the fog, leaving only silence and a faint, ghostly whistle fading into the wind.